K20 draft. Here we go. Adam Cole has been drafted to SmackDown, but he will still be appearing on NXT. AJ Styles remains on Raw. Akam remains on Raw. Akira Tozawa has been drafted to Raw. Aleister Black remains on SmackDown Live. Alexa Bliss has been drafted to SmackDown Live. Ali remains on SmackDown Live. Alicia Fox remains on Raw, but she will also be going to NXT. Andrade gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Angelo Dawkins gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Apollo Crews remains on SmackDown Live. Avia Davari gets drafted to Raw and NXT. Asuka gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Baron Corbin remains on Monday Night Raw. Bayley gets drafted to Monday Night Raw, which means on SmackDown Live there will be a new women's champion, and these are the champions who will carry on from my WWE 2K19 Universe mode. Becky Lynch remains on Monday Night Raw. Bianca Belair gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Big E gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. What does that mean for the New Day? Big Show remains on Raw. Billy Kay they remain. They go to SmackDown Live. So that means Peyton Royce will be going to SmackDown Live as well. Bo Dallas remains on SmackDown Live. Bobby Fish, all Undisputed Era, will be going to SmackDown Live. Bobby Lashley remains on Raw. Braun Strowman gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Bray Wyatt remains on SmackDown Live. No, on Raw, sorry. Brian Kendrick gets drafted to Raw and NXT. Brie Bella has no draft. She is a free agent. That means she can appear on both of the shows. Brock Lesnar remains on Monday Night Raw. Buddy Murphy remains on SmackDown Live. Candice LeRae gets drafted to Raw. Carmella gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Cedric Alexander, the Universal Champion from WWE 2K19, remains on Monday Night Raw. Cesaro remains on Monday Night Raw. Chad Gable remains on SmackDown Live. Charlotte Flair remains on SmackDown Live. Curly Hawkins remains on Raw. So Curtis Axel remains on SmackDown Live due to Bo Dallas staying on SmackDown Live. Dakota Kai goes to SmackDown Live. Dana Brooke remains on Monday Night Raw. Daniel Bryan remains on SmackDown Live. Dash Wilder goes to SmackDown Live, which means Scott Dawson goes to SmackDown Live as well. Dolph Ziggler gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Drew Gulak gets drafted to SmackDown Live and NXT. Drew McIntyre remains on Monday Night Raw. EC3 remains on Monday Night Raw. Eddie Guerrero has been assigned a role, but which one is it? It is SmackDown Live. Elias remains on SmackDown Live. Ember Moon remains on SmackDown Live. Eric Young remains on Monday Night Raw. Eric, the Viking Raiders get drafted to SmackDown Live. Fandango gets drafted to Monday Night Raw and NXT, which means Tyler Breeze will be NXT as well. Finn Balor has been drafted to Monday Night Raw and NXT. Gentlemen, Jack Gallagher has been drafted to Monday Night Raw and NXT. Grand Metalik stays on Monday Night Raw. Luke Harper gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Heath Slater gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Humberto Carrillo gets drafted to SmackDown Live and NXT. Io Shirai gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Ivar gets drafted to SmackDown Live with his partner Eric. Jackson Ryder gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Jeff Hardy gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Jey Uso, the Usos get drafted to SmackDown Live. They are back home, they're saying. Jimmy Uso gets drafted to SmackDown Live with his partner and his brother. Jinder Mahal remains on SmackDown Live. John Cena will appear on both brands. Johnny Gargano gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. What does that mean for Tommaso Ciampa? Kairi Sane gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Kalisto remains on Monday Night Raw. Kane remains on SmackDown Live. Carl Anderson remains on Monday Night Raw with the OC. Cassius Ohno get drafted to Monday Night Raw. Sorry guys, just need to check. Keith Lee gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Oh, he's gonna be a talent for SmackDown Live. Kevin Nash has been drafted to Monday Night Raw. He has specifically... Kevin Owens has been drafted to SmackDown Live. Kofi Kingston remains on SmackDown Live as the WWE Champion. Kyle O'Reilly gets drafted to SmackDown. Lacey Evans gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Lana gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Ooh. Lars Sullivan gets drafted to Raw, and apparently him and Cassius Ohno have got a plan up their sleeves. Lince Dorado gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Liv Morgan remains on SmackDown Live. Luke Gallows remains on Monday Night Raw. Mandy Rose remains on SmackDown Live. Maria Kanellis gets drafted to Raw. Mark Andrews gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Maurice gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. What does that mean for The Miz? Matt Hardy gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Oh, has SmackDown lost their chance at having one of the Hardy Boys? Matt Riddle gets drafted to SmackDown Live. That is gonna be a great addition to SmackDown Live. Mia Yim gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Mickie James gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Mike Kanellis gets drafted to Monday Night Raw with Maria Kanellis. The Miz gets drafted to SmackDown Live. They have split up the iconic duo. Mojo Rawley remains on Monday Night Raw. Montez Ford goes to SmackDown Live. Naomi remains on Monday Night Raw. Natalia remains on Monday Night Raw. Nia Jax remains on Monday Night Raw. Nikki Bella will be drafted to both brands, but she won't be drafted. She can appear anywhere, any place, anytime. Mickie James has been drafted to SmackDown Live with her good buddy Alexa Bliss. No Way Jose remains on Monday Night Raw, but NXT he has gone back to as well. Noam Dar gets drafted to NXT and SmackDown Live. Only Lorcan gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Otis remains on SmackDown Live. Pete Dunne gets drafted to SmackDown Live. That is a great pick. They have chosen the Bruiserweight. Peyton Royce has been drafted to SmackDown Live. R-Truth remains on SmackDown Live with Carmella. Randy Orton gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Rey Mysterio gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Oh. Razor remains on Raw with Akam. Rhea Ripley gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Ricochet remains on Monday Night Raw. Robert Roode remains on Monday Night Raw. The Rock has been drafted to SmackDown Live. Roderick Strong has been drafted to SmackDown Live. Roman Reigns remains on SmackDown Live. Ronda Rousey remains on Monday Night Raw. Eric Rowan gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Ooh, what does that mean for Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan? Ruby Wyatt gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Rusev remains on SmackDown Live. Sami Zayn remains on Monday Night Raw. Samoa Joe gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Sarah Logan gets drafted to Monday Night Raw and NXT. Sasha Banks is officially money in SmackDown Live. Scott Dawson gets drafted into SmackDown Live with his partner Dash Wilder. Seth Rollins, the United States Champion from the WWE 2K19 Universe mode, he remains on Monday Night Raw. Shane McMahon will be undrafted, but he can appear on any brand he likes. Shane Thorne remains on NXT. Shayna Baszler gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Can she carry the dominance she's done in NXT to Monday Night Raw? We'll see. Sheamus remains on SmackDown Live. Shelton Benjamin gets drafted to Monday Night Raw with NXT. Shelton Benjamin has been demoted down to NXT. Shinsuke Nakamura, he is not the Intercontinental Champion. I still need to change that. But he gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Ooh. Sin Cara gets drafted to Monday Night Raw and NXT. Come on, yeah. Sonya Deville remains on SmackDown Live with Mandy Rose. Stephanie McMahon has personally drafted herself into Monday Night Raw. She says SmackDown Live is the B show when SmackDown Live has the best people. Stone Cold has been drafted to Monday Night Raw, which means Stone Cold Steve Austin can't go to SmackDown Live and wrestle. Tamina gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Titus O'Neil gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Oh. Tommaso Ciampa gets drafted to Monday Night Raw with Johnny Gargano. What does this mean? You might find out in the first episode of WWE 2K20 Monday Night Raw. Tony Storm gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Tony Nese gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Trent Seven gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. Triple H is undrafted, which means he can appear on any show, any brand, anything. Tucker remains on SmackDown Live with his buddy Otis. Tyler Bate gets drafted to Monday Night Raw with his mustache mountain partner Trent Seven. Tyler Breeze remains on Monday Night Raw and NXT. Undertaker will appear on both. Will appear on both brands, up to him whenever he appears or doesn't. Velveteen Dream gets drafted to SmackDown Live. Ooh. Xavier Woods gets drafted to Monday Night Raw with Big E. That means Kofi Kingston is alone on SmackDown Live. Zack Ryder remains on Monday Night Raw. Zelina Vega remains on SmackDown Live, which means Andrade is out of it. Andrade is no longer with Zelina Vega. And that is the end of the WWE 2K20 draft. Thank you for watching.